Hello and welcome to another episode of the James Granström podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the James Granström podcast, Super Soul Model Series. Everything on this show is designed to help uplift you and inspire you so you can tune and tap in to your natural state of well-being. Today's show is all about forgiveness and why it's important to forgive. And then I'm going to share with you ways in which you can do that. But if you're enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe and share, and please share it with people who you think will appreciate the content, because what we want to do is create more happier and healthier people along the way. So let's get into the show. The show today is all about forgiveness. Forgiveness, what's this to do with well-being? It's got everything to do with well-being, because when your mind is free, you're going to feel a lot better. And so forgiveness is going to play something that plays a part for all of us, because there's lots of things in our life that we feel victimized by. And when you first start out on your journey of becoming more of a conscious creator, one of the first things you're going to have to learn, or one of the challenges that you experience, is learning that forgiveness plays such a big part in taking you away from a victim mentality to a creative mentality, a conscious creative mentality, which means that you now know that you have an influence on reality rather than just being a victim of circumstance. Now, people come into our lives, they come and go, and each person that comes into your life comes in for a different purpose and in for a different reason if we're looking at it from a spiritual perspective. So this particular episode is not only going to help you remind you of what you already know deep down, but it's also going to educate you in which ways that you can look at forgiveness, look at the topic of forgiveness and why it's important to forgive, but more importantly, how you can do it so you have that freedom that will come with that. And I'm going to explain with you in this episode how you can do that. But let's get into the why. The why it's important to forgive is because it frees you from negativity. And when you forgive, that freedom starts to feed inside of your body and your mind, and negativity holds us down. So it's important to forgive because it frees us from that negativity. It also lets the emotions, those heavy emotions, free up that get negatively stored inside of your body. And if you don't do anything with it, what happens is those negative emotions can turn into physical ailments in time if they're not dealt with. So it's important to forgive, because otherwise you could find yourself in time, if you haven't dealt with that emotion, that heavy emotion, that toxic emotion, that grudge, that anger, that can just get stored in the body. Now, Dr. Joe, so yeah, it's important to free up those emotions. It also allows the body and mind to reset. And when the mind is relaxed, the body is relaxed, and it will follow suit, because the mind has to become relaxed first. Like a mind at ease creates a body at ease, and a mind not at ease creates disease or body with disease. So that's why it's important to forgive, because otherwise your mind will not be at ease, and then that will store into the body, as I've just said. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his book Supernatural and actually Becoming the Placebo, and in Dr. Joe Dispenza's books, particularly the one Supernatural, he talks about how emotions get stored in the body and they become habits. And so it's the mind that we need to create from, and it's the body that becomes the habit afterwards. It becomes a stored vessel of emotions and habits. So the better feelings that we can have inside of our mind and body, elevated emotions, the better feeling body that we'll have, which is essentially your own well-being. Another reason why it's important to forgive is because it reduces emotional toxicity. When you feel good, there's no toxicity. When you feel really, really good, when you feel happiness, love, joy, peace, these are all elevated emotions. And when you feel anger, grief, upset, hate, they are toxic inside of the body. And so, like I just said, they store inside of the body, and that creates a disease in time if not dealt with. Now, another reason why it's important to forgive is because it creates a better relationship, not only with yourself, but with other people as well. Naturally, you want those negative charges to not be there because they create more, upset inside the mind. So a mind not at ease will create eventual disease. So you want to be able to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it a bit later in the how. But essentially, it's the ego that wants to hold on to I'm right and you're wrong. Whereas the soul aspect of you, the higher aspect of you, the conscious creator aspect of you recognizes that, I'm not willing to hold on to this. I prefer to feel good than be right the whole time, because the ego desperately is holding on to wanting to be right. And you might well be right, but it's important to forgive because it will create a sense of humility. And that humility reminds you of your divine aspect of yourself, that all is well. And if you're looking at it from another soul perspective, each person that comes into your life is teaching you a new lesson of some sort. So everyone in your life that's in your sphere of influence is helping you and teaching you on some sort of level as you are teaching them. But the key thing is it will teach you humility. Now, aside from making you feel better, now it's important because number one, it's going to make you feel better, but it's also going to increase your inner peace, but it's also going to increase your inner peace and increase the sense of freedom that you have within. And your life gets better when you forgive, because you're not holding on to being right, as I just mentioned before. Your life gets easier because you're just more at peace, going, look, I'm not willing to hold on to that extra emotional baggage. And that creates a sense of empathy and compassion for other people in time. And that being able to forgive, create that empathy, connects you more deeply with other people, because eventually when you do forgive other people, you have a greater healing and better relationship as a result of that. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean that you're excusing the other persons for their actions, but what it does mean is you're not willing to hold on to that pain anymore, and that pain attaches you to your ego. So yes, you're going to be, you could well be right, and someone may have caused you some serious pain, but it's just you're not willing to hold on to that negative charge. That's the main thing, because that was then and this is now. And if you continue to carry on the past into your present moment, the present moment will just regurgitate that which you're feeling more and more of, because the universe just gives you what you're feeling more and more of. Now, that's a difficult truth to swallow initially if you're just coming into understanding a little bit more spiritual understandings and principles. But I think the premise, if you can just take it away, is that you're either going to hold on to pain or you're going to let it go eventually. And letting go means I'm not willing to be that identity of who I was anymore, and this is my new identity. And that identity shift in itself is a real journey. I'm not going to be the person that holds on to pain. I'm going to be the person that is more freeing, more understanding, more compassionate, more kind, more empathetic. This becomes a bit more in truth of who you are as a human being. This becomes a bit more in truth of who you are when you first came as a little baby. You had a blank slate. You didn't come in with heavy toxic emotions as a baby. You had a blank slate. So it's kind of like we've picked these things up as we've experienced more life, and we all experience hurt and challenge, and some people more than others. And I'm so empathetic and compassionate about some of the trials and tribulations people have faced. I know I faced my own challenges, but they're going to be different in comparison to other people. But it's really you and your own journey is like how you can forgive, or should I say why it's important to forgive, is because otherwise you keep, activating that pain over and over again, which will never set you free and will never really help you tap into your natural state of well-being. Now, one of the other reasons why it's important to forgive is because it gives you back your power from that victim mentality, and it will help you shift your vibration, shift your frequency, shift your radio dial of your emotional output from not feeling great to feeling much better. And it's when you begin to feel better, that's when you begin to heal. All healing starts with feeling better first before the actual physical manifestation of healing actually begins. It all has to start emotionally, which means it has to start in the mind first, which is the mind more at ease before the body can become more at ease. So if you're experiencing any headaches or anything like that, what that means is that your mind is not at ease with something or someone in your life. If you've got a pain in the neck, what that means is that someone is causing you a pain in the neck. And what are you allowing that person to experience? Why is that? Why is that causing you? So that pain in the neck. So who's causing you a pain in the neck? But there's a wonderful book called The Magic Path of Your Intuition by Florence Scovel Shiven, and it's a brilliant book. And she talks about, this was back in like the early 1900s, she was talking about these spiritual principles, that everything relates to how you're perceiving life. So forgiveness plays such a huge part into becoming less bothered about what other people say and do to you, and becoming more focused about what it is that you're doing and feeling in the moment, because that will change from a moment to moment basis. Another reason why it's important to forgive is because you can't actually experience true wellness and well-being with that level of resistance in your life, because forgiveness, or shall I say not forgiving anybody, another reason why it's so important to forgive is because true well-being comes from this sense of inner freedom. That means you have no negative charge with anybody. Now, that might dance and change from time to time, but essentially that's the point that you want to get to when you're making peace with everybody as much as possible, because peace is what brings you freedom. Peace is what brings you health. Peace is what brings you joy and vitality and well-being. And you can't do that if you have a negative charge with someone or something. So there can't ever be true freedom without forgiveness. Now, another reason why you want to forgive is because you're going to sleep better at night. You're going to sleep better knowing that things are at rest and are at peace. Another reason why you're going to be, why it's important to forgive is because there's no emotional weight on your mind as you're falling asleep. And one of the other reasons why it's important to forgive is because you don't want to start a new relationship or get to the end of your life not having dealt with certain things and gone and made peace with it, because you're just going to pass that on to the next generation. Or that's if you have a family or something. So it's good to deal with the things that you possibly can right now, when you get to a place of making peace with it. Otherwise you just pass it on, because we are all vibrational teachers, meaning whatever we're thinking and what we're feeling, we're passing down. So we become the teachers by the clarity of the example that we set energetically. Now, you might not be able to see it, but you can feel it. We talked about the old adage, you walk into the room and you feel the vibes. It's exactly the same. You're carrying a vibrational blueprint of either well-being or misalignment. And the happier you are, the better your life becomes. And that becomes like a magnet for more happiness. And that actually helps people remind other people that happiness and well-being is their natural set point, which is basically how you flood the world with this natural state of well-being. And little by little, that's what my purpose is on this podcast for the people that tune in, just to remind you of what you already know and understand that well-being is your natural set point. Well-being is our natural place. Happiness is our natural state, but we veer off from time to time. But, all the episodes on this podcast are just to show you how to get back on when you fall off. That's been my experience, and I've managed to do it, so you can do it. And, once you understand and apply, you have your experience, and life just gets better and better from there. So it's a wonderful place to start. So the why is so important in order to move forwards. Now I want to get into the how you can forgive. So here's some practical ways in which you can begin to forgive and begin to experience greater inner peace and inner freedom in your life. Number one, say it out loud. I forgive you, I'm sorry. Now you just talk to that person, put your hand on your heart and just say, I love you. You can just say it out loud. You can either put your hand on your heart or you can just say it out loud to someone whilst you're walking out in nature. I always recommend getting out in nature because your brain and your body become more in tune with Mother Nature at these softer alpha rhythm patterns. So getting outside into nature, if you can, is a great way to just say, I forgive you, I'm not willing to hold on to this anymore and I'm willing to let this go. So you can say it out loud, I forgive you and I'm willing to let this go. Number two, you can say it to yourself, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for doing that. Now you may need to forgive someone else or you may need to forgive yourself, but it's probably both ways. So forgive yourself, say it to yourself, I'm sorry I did this. I forgive myself that I've done that. I know I could do better. And I'm willing to find a new way. So say it out loud and say it to yourself as well. Say it both ways because there's a charge, and if there's been a charge, it's come from both people. But both people need to be healed, and it has to start with you first. Don't expect the other person to try and to do it for you because they may not have the same consciousness as you right now. If you're listening to this show right now, that means that you have an ability to heal yourself in that moment of any forgiveness. And it just takes saying something out loud or saying it to yourself, but it has to have genuine meaning. Number three, write it out. Write out a little note. I had a past ex-girlfriend, I remember writing something down on a piece of paper, and I was genuine saying, look, I'm just so sorry the way that all worked out and so forth. And you know what? As soon as I wrote that letter, I felt so much freedom. And I received an email from that person. This was absolutely years ago. I received an email from that person and it brought me so much peace. So write things out, write it down, write it on a piece of paper, and if need be, burn it. I've heard some other people saying, flush it down the loo or whatever. The key thing is the act of burning something creates this release, this toxic release. And the act of writing it down creates this genuine, focused emotion of wanting to let it go. The whole purpose is how can you let these heavy feelings inside of your body go from your mind? Because it starts in your mind and then they go into your body and then you're feeling it, you see. So you want to let these go by writing it down and perhaps burning it, but burn it safely in a controlled environment. Now, even better on number four, could you say it to that person? I forgive you. Or can you go up to them and say, I'm sorry. Can I forgive you? I'm so sorry. Whatever. Often you find people in relationships. I know that my folks have often, rolled each other up the wrong way over the years, but they were very quick to forgive each other, to just get on with it. And, the more conscious you become, the happier you become, the quicker it is that you want to deal with things when you find yourself dropping out that center of harmony. So you owe it to yourself to want to feel good, because it's better to feel good than be right. And often I find myself in a conversation with someone that I love and just realizing I might well be right. But the fact of the matter is I just want to feel good. I don't want to have to go into a resistant conversation because I know I'm right. And essentially that's the ego's way of saying, look, I'm right. And you might well be, but just feel good. Want to feel good more than be right, because that will set you free. And it kind of just makes things a little bit more fun and lighter. And then it's funny, but if you actually do that, what you'll realize is that the conversation dies anyway. And the only person that was holding on was your ego wanting to be right. Number 5 on the ways how to forgive. Ho'oponopono. I learnt this years ago in about 2008 from Dr. Joe Vitale and Dr. Hugh Len in a book called Zero Limits. This book is an absolute game changer for Hawaiian traditions, and it's all about a Hawaiian spiritualist doctor who went into a mental institution and helped heal the patients in that mental institution who were hard-nosed criminals as well. And within 2 years, this is the story, they'd walked out of that institution and became more civilized. And the reason being was because the doctor, Dr. Hugh Len, I don't know if he's still alive anymore, was teaching and doing this Hawaiian spiritual tradition of reconciliation. And he was just saying this in his mind over and over again, which was, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Those 4 phrases, those 4 words were constantly going around on his mind on a loop for 2 years. And in doing so, he was cleansing his mind and body and soul of this toxicity that was in his environment. And I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me about 2 years ago of me doing exactly the same thing in a very strange scenario. Now, this is my experience. You don't have to believe me, but this is what happened. So, I moved into a flat, and on the other side of the wall I moved into a new flat a couple of years ago, and it was only for a short amount of time. But on the other side of the wall, I heard this strange noise every single day. And I was like, what is that noise? My housemate didn't hear it, but I heard it. And it was this word, and it was this voice coming back from the other side of the wall. And it sounded like an old woman, but I couldn't be sure. But it said, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. And I thought, what is that strange sound? And it would happen in the middle of the night. And it would happen sometimes in the morning and then in the middle of the night. And it shocked me. And I realized that I felt really guilty for certain things in my life, certain things that I could have done better about. But I recognized that I needed to forgive myself and forgive everything in my life. So I took this Ho'oponopono method, and I recognized that on the other side of the wall, if I heard this sound, I put my hand on the other side of the wall and go, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Now, I kept on doing that. I kept on doing that for a few months, every single day, and I thought to myself, if this is the reflection coming back to me in my life, then this is something that I need to heal. So if I'm feeling bad about something, that I feel incomplete about something, then I need to rectify that with my thinking and feeling. So that's why I took this Ho'opono reconciliation Hawaiian spiritual tradition, and I started practicing it, but really only when I heard those noises on the other side of the wall. And as I started practicing this, after a few months, the most strangest thing happened. It just stopped. And I recognized that the person on the other side of the wall had died. And it was an old lady who was mentally challenged. And I don't know if my Hawaiian Ho'oponopono had helped, but it sure felt like that to me, because I'd made peace within myself. And as soon as I began to make peace within myself, then that peace on the other side of the wall began to change as well. And that lady did pass away, but at least she passed away realizing that she was loved and appreciated and loved, and she was loved and acknowledged, even though from someone she'd never ever seen before. So is that me? Was that me? I just like to think that I understand the spiritual principles of forgiveness is important. So I just like to think with humility that maybe I did contribute to something wonderful, but I'll never know. So when in doubt, the Ho'oponopono is a really, really effective way of forgiving. So remember the 4 phrases: I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And you can just say that over and over again until you feel peace. So I really recommend that, and check out the book, Zero Limits. Now, the next one on the list is Dr. John Martini's Thank You for Giving Me This Experience. Now, I heard this years ago as well at a seminar, and I'd never heard of forgiveness in this particular way, and I really, really liked it. It was this: thank you for giving me this experience. Because when you understand vibration, when you understand energy, when you can understand that you are the creator of your own experience, whether you know it or not, when you begin to become more awake to realizing that you are creating your reality as you go along, what that means is what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what's coming back is always a match. So anything that's good that's coming back is a match on your inner feelings, and anything that's bad that's coming back is a match on your inner feelings. So if someone's causing you a challenge or a grief in your life, notice that's a reflection of your feeling. And if they've caused you real pain, then that might be a reflection of the pain that you've been feeling. Now, if you were younger and that happened and you were experiencing challenge and, real heartache, then that was the environment that you were given, which makes it even more difficult for you to have to step out of that zone. But it means that there has been greater asking from that pain to find natural well-being again. So my heart goes out to people who've experienced real pain, particularly as a child, because as children, we just need to want to feel safe and protected. And it's very, very difficult to have that comfort that we really need as children and take that into adult life, because as adults, we need to pass that back on to our children if we do have children. So the most important thing is how can you make peace with your now? And that means also making peace with your past, because otherwise you drag that past right into your now. So how can you make peace with the now? By making peace with everyone in your environment, by making and understanding this principle that everyone's doing the best they can with the knowledge and the wisdom that they have in the moment. And what Dr. John DeMartini says is, in forgiveness, is thank you for giving me this experience that has allowed me to become more conscious of what it is that I now want, which means I'm choosing to feel good now. I'm choosing to let this go now. I'm choosing not to carry that pain with me into the now, and I'm choosing to be peaceful in the now and move forward with peace and forgive that, because it's caused me upset, it's caused me hurt, it's caused me anger, and I'm willing to let that go now. And as you become more conscious and as you become a more conscious creator of your reality and your experience, you realize that it's your energy that you're sending out that's what's collecting these experiences and events and people in our life. So you choose your thoughts more wisely, you choose your actions more wisely from a higher good feeling space, rather than let the pain of the past carry into the present moment, because that's what causes the mental imbalance and the mental challenge that we all have from time to time. But there is another way, and this is one of them. Now, the next one on the list is one of my all-time favorites. It's just sending blessings to everyone, sending blessings to everyone silently, and sending well wishes to everyone, whether they've caused you wrong or not. Send well wishes and blessings to everyone. It is a wonderful way of creating this little bubble of love around you, and this force field of protection, this force field of comfort, this force field of well-being. You may have fallen out with someone, but you can send them a silent blessing of well wishes. You may have fallen out with someone, but you can send them a silent blessing of well wishes, and send them good fortune, send them love, send them happiness, send them well-being, send them well wishes. This creates this force field of love around you. This creates a sense of protection around you, and this creates a sense of benevolence going out into the world, because whatever you're sending out is what's coming back. So if you can do it with genuine feeling and emotion, which is I send this person blessings, that's what's going to come back, and it helps free any toxicity that you might have in your heart or in your mind. Now, the penultimate one is saying the Lord's Prayer, saying a prayer, Our Father, something like that. That can be really, really effective in being able to release any tension or toxicity in your mind. So saying a prayer can really make wonderful. So saying the Lord's Prayer can really help you heal any toxicity going on when you're needing to forgive. I created a little prayer that I made up years ago, and it is something like this. It goes, thank you, Lord, for this brand new day and all good things that come my way. Thank you for my family and friends and all the good that you send. Thank you for my wonderful wealth, and bless me with abundant health, and help me be a light unto others, and treat all men as my brothers. Now, the purpose of this little prayer that I made up is a rhyme, and it's to help me remind myself of the tone that I'm wanting to set throughout the day and what my intent is, which is to be a light, to be thankful, to be kind, to be compassionate, and to be a light, and to treat other people really well as well. Because I know that when I treat myself well and I can treat other people well, there's this level of self-respect, which is a beautiful way that taps into your natural state of well-being. And it means that you know what it is that you're wanting to send out. That clarity breeds focus, which breeds which breeds more. That clarity breeds more focus. That clarity breeds more focus, and that focus creates a greater sense of well-being around you. Now, the last but not least ways in which you can forgive is Heart Math Institute. Talked about it on 2 podcasts previous. Is you could just lie down and you can put your hand on your heart and think about 3 things you're super grateful for and things that you love in your life. Now, once you get to that emotion and that really good feeling of emotion, maybe you're lying down, your eyes are closed, you get to this warm, comfortable place, maybe you're lying down on a bed or on a couch. You conjure up 3 wonderful memories, and once those good feelings and memories are in place, then you can switch and bring a picture of someone you want to send love to, and you can send love and forgiveness to that person. Now, you might not be seeing them, you might not be in their sphere at all, but you can send them love and you can send them warmth from this beautiful state of previous memories of good feelings that you have. This is how you help other people heal, but it's not the other person that you're healing. You're really healing yourself from the heavy emotions that you previously felt. So I hope you've enjoyed. So these are some ways in which you can forgive, because when you forgive, what happens is you release the resistance inside of your mind and body. And when you release that resistance, you tap into your natural state of well-being, where all good things flow to you. And you just become lighter, you become happier, more positive, more optimistic, and things work out far greater for you. So release that resistance by forgiving. I've given you several ways in which you can forgive here today. And if you like the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you're new to meditation, remember to go over to my website on the link below and sign up to my 7 ways to meditate in 7 days. Hope you've enjoyed the show today. You've learned ways in which to forgive, and you've learned ways in which how to forgive. You've learned ways why it's important to forgive, and you've learned ways in how you can forgive to improve the quality of your life and improve your sense of overall well-being. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you on the next show. And if you've got any questions, please remember to write in any comments so I can understand how we can help. And if you like the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, I wish you green lights all the way.